I've gotten from this. And, you know, but anything negative, I take it good, bad, and indifferent. But because she crossed the line with this, I take real offense to this, and I'm going to push this. And, you know, we're still setting up other interviews. I actually have a television news interview set up next week where we'll discuss this even further.
Okay.
Because you can't get away with this and think that it's okay. You basically telling me that I'm going to do what I want to do, and there's nothing going to happen to me for it, and you can feel however you want to feel about it, and that's a problem.
Yeah, it is.
That's a problem.
It is. So now you say this book has been out how long?
Almost 2 years.
Now,
December 29th.
did you all? I know it started off as, you know, one thing and progressed. So did you always know that you would eventually write something though?
I didn't.
Really?
I did not know that I looking back on it now, I realized that I saved it for a reason, because it was on a 3.5 floppy.
Okay.
So
you saved it for a while.
So with this happening, it was when it finally came out and it went straight, I thought, okay, great, this was really meant to be. And you know, there is no success without failure. So for me to have put this out and, you know, gone through everything that I have gone through. So just to give you a little bit of background without reading the book, my mom put me in the life of crime when I was 6 years old.
Really?
She had me shoplifting for her when I was 6 years old.
Now I've heard of people doing that. I've never met anyone that actually personally went through that.
Yeah, and a lot of people that find this out about me now, they're shocked because there's no substance abuse attached to it. She was just very, very greedy. And
okay.
So that became my hustle from 6 to 21, and then there was the different juvenile stints of getting caught, being removed from the home, and eventually 2 prison sentences, where the second sentence I was locked up for 7 years and 3 months.
So let me back up a little bit. Okay, so you said she started you on this life of crime at what age?
6.
At 6. So did were you having legal interference during that time, or like with maybe getting caught and put you?
No,
like
I didn't get caught the first time until I was about 9.
To about 9. So when you got caught, was it end up being like a CPS involvement thing or anything like that?
It was probation.
Okay.
Probation.
And so was it ever, I mean, I'm thinking as a child, you probably didn't say my mom had me doing it.
Oh, God, no. That was the thing.
So,
I never blamed her for it.
Right.
Never. My mom, as I thought then, was my best friend. I was the golden child. There was 3 of us.
Okay.
My sisters were kind of daddy's girls, and since my parents had split, they kind of veered toward him.
Okay.
And I was the mama's boy. So in my eyes, she could do no wrong.
I see.
And so the first time, anytime, there was this Commonwealth attorney in Halifax named John Greenbacker.
Okay.
And he used to just literally rip her to shreds when I was being sentenced or when I would get in trouble. Because he knew, because the things that I would get caught stealing were adult things. They weren't toys.
Okay,
It was household
yeah.
stuff. What 11-year-old is thinking about getting something for a house?
No.
So he would go in on her, and I would never roll over on her.
Yeah.
And
I'm not surprised.
I would never. It just wasn't something that I felt like I needed to do, because that was my best friend, and of course she was always encouraging me and welcomed anything that I would get.
Now, when did this 7-year prison sentence begin?
Started in January 1993.
Okay, and how old were you then?
21. I had just turned 21.
Victor, you look a lot younger than your book cover. Now it's throwing me off. Because I'm looking at the book cover, and then he comes up in there, I'm like, okay, that's him. Okay, so I'm like, okay, so
that is so sweet. Thank you.
It is. I mean, I'm sitting up and looking. I'm looking at this. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, that was in 1993.
Okay.
January 1993.
You say in 7 years?
Well, what happened
was it probation? I guess at some point.
No,
oh, really?
There was no parole. What happened was in Virginia, the governor's office changed from Democrat to Republican, George Allen, and the first thing he did was abolish parole. Even though I fell under the old law, I would treat it like I was under the new law. So people that were making parole, it went from 60+% down to 2 to 3%. So they were not letting anyone. He just built up all these shell prisons, and he just wanted to put everybody in prison. So I would get turned down after turned down. I ended up getting 5 parole turndowns, because even though I was under the old law, they weren't giving it to anyone that hadn't done a lot of time. We also had a lot.
I didn't know you could abolish. They ever abolish parole anywhere. That's news to me.
Yeah, they did that. And if you were sentenced before January 2003, I mean 1993, you still go up for parole, but anybody after January 1993, you do 85% of your time, there's no more parole.
Get out of here. And so you spent the entire 7 years there?
Well, I had a 10-year sentence, so I did 7 years and 3 months. I had good time earned, so it knocked it off. I would have maxed it out the next year.
So you were right at 30 when you got out?
I was 28.
Get out of here. Oh my goodness. I hate to hear that. That's just so.
But
was this like your first? How man? Yeah, I know you had like the juvenile stuff, but as an adult, had you had a lot of legal issues?
No, I had been to prison one other time.
Okay.
For 19 months, and that was where I totaled with the jail and the prison 19 months, and I was ended up being at a location that was 5 minutes from my house. I had relatives that worked there, so it was no rehabilitation.
Okay, gotcha.
I was 18 years old. When I came home at 19, I was wide open. I mean, it just, you know, I went back. I had money to make. Because also by then I was making money doing this. So I was making a lot of money. So the whole hustle about providing for my family and all of that was compounded when the money started to come in. And I'm making sometimes up to $5,000 a week tax-free money.
Wow.
Just for going out on Monday to Thursday boosting. You know, because I had people that wanted it. So I didn't just go out and get it and try to sell it. I had people, when I went to get it, it was someone waiting for it.
Exactly.
And I had the heart to do the big things. That's my girl who puts me into that, selling it. She said, you got the heart to do the big things. I will come out of the stores with anything.
Get out of here. Well, you know, you had the little things when you was way back from a kid, so you had already progressed. So
yeah, I had progressed quite a bit, yeah.
Okay. Victor, I cannot see you in prison. And I work in corrections. I'm having a hard time seeing it.
Well, you know what the interesting thing is? I'm glad I don't look like what I've been through.
I'm glad you don't either.
I'm so glad I don't look like what I've been through, because what a lot of people don't understand is that this could happen to anybody.
Anyone, exactly.
You know, we've all done things that could have put us in prison for a very long time.
Yeah.
The difference with me and others is that I got caught and held accountable, and other people didn't. That's really huge for me, and that helps me in my growth today, because it helps me understand what I've gone through, where I've gone, and how easy it would be for me to go back.
Exactly. So, you write this book. Okay, I know you're talking about the other negative feedback, but tell me about, so what was it like to put all of this emotion, because this is a lot. Even as I skim through the pages, this is a lot. So I ask people, especially with their memoirs, when you putting this on paper, you know, I know the emotional toll it must take. So talk a little bit about that, because I imagine you exposing yourself to the world.
I went totally transparent with this, because when I said I would do it, I said that if I did it, it had to be done 100% honest. I did not want to fluff it in any kind of way, and I wanted people to understand me from a direct impact. That is why I didn't work with book companies. I was contracted to work with 2 separate book companies, and when the content readers got it, they said, oh, we need you to change everything. You cannot write about this. You can't do this. You don't have the right to violate the privacy of others, and you just know we need you to change everything. And I said, but this is my life. You know. So I talked to my attorney about it, and he said, well, and I used Superhead's book as an example.
Okay.
And I said, there's no way she had those celebrities.
No people's permission,
right.
Yeah. Okay.
So he said, well, what happened was they knew that she would make money off of that book. They didn't know whether you would, so they weren't going to take that risk with you. But if the money she made, if someone sued, they just pay a couple $100,000 and move on. But they have no idea how much money you're going to make. So that is why I went to Amazon. But I said that I knew that I wanted it to be just straightforward. I didn't want to, you know, because the things that I've gone through in my life, I would have never imagined. I mean, being in an abusive relationship, almost being gang raped, you know, I would have just never imagined having to deal with that. The heartbreak of relationships, but putting it out there, when I finally put it together that week, Cheryl, it happened so fast, because it was at the beginning of October that I said, okay, I'm going to do it.
Okay.
I pulled out the floppy, transferred it to a flash drive, and I took a week, and I went in to update from 15 to, from 07 to 15. It was a very dark week, because I hadn't relived the abusive relationship. And by then, my mom and my relationship was already over. Okay. So then it was a constant reminder of that, and the way she treats me now. And So it was a really dark week.
Okay.
But once I hired an editor from Duke University, and we worked virtually. Went home for the photo shoot, did the, we had a web designer create the cover, and then by December 10th, I had a complete package in my hand.
Okay.
Just that fast. And it was a situation where I read it, and I said, I wouldn't read the whole thing because I didn't want to be in those black moments, but I kept reading like my preface, and I thought, this is really going to happen, and I had to be comfortable knowing that once I put it out there, it was going to be out there forever.
Yes.
There will be no pulling back from it, and I'm not one that regrets anything I do. Anything I do, I take ownership of it. If I have to apologize or make amends, I will. If not, I keep it moving. So I knew at that moment that I would be okay with it.
So let me ask you, what did you learn from yourself? Now, I always ask people this, because when you dig into this type of subject matter, and it's personal, and these are your personal experiences that you're pouring out on paper, like you said, for everybody to read.
Right.
So tell me, what did you learn about yourself through that process? What have you learned as a result of writing this down?
Growing up, I was always kind of a pushover a little bit, where I was very insecure. I allowed a lot of people to manipulate me into doing things for them because I felt like I had to buy friends. So in doing this book, it showed me that I am stronger than I thought I was, and even though I still need to pick and choose my battles, I'm not always successful with that. But that I need to stand up for myself, even with this situation at Clearview.
Right,
I have to stand up for myself because at the end of the day, I'm responsible for me. Right. And the more people see that they can get away with, the more they're going to try to get away with it. And so I learned that I'm basically a strong person, and I just need to, show that.
But once again, we are talking to Victor Carrington, the man with the movie star name. And he is the author of Just When You Thought You Knew Me, The Highs and Lows in the Life of Victor L. Carrington. So, Victor, this is fascinating to me because, like I said, talking to you and then flipping through the book and the things that you were even discussing, I mean, I would not have put all this that you had gone through this. So you're talking about now even the situation with your mom. I'm guessing that's still not...
Yeah, I think that's a done deal. Because my mom has never accepted responsibility.
So what she did?
She's never even admitted it.
I mean, I kind of feel like she said you never did. She's
never admitted it. She's always blamed me. Yeah. And I'm thinking, how did I just do this? I mean, seriously. And she actually got in trouble herself by trying to get me out of a situation when I was 13. So that's why, and my mom would sue God if she thought she could get away with it. So
some people do.
Oh yeah, if she thought she could get away with it, she would sue God. So I think had she really thought she had a chance, not saying she hasn't talked to an attorney, but I think she realized that she has no win here. Okay. But their relationship is pretty much over.
Because people, when you write your memoirs, and like we say, it still is your story.
Correct.
So, and that's why I like to ask people, we always ask them here, just wait. But what have you done to protect yourself? First of all, I don't want you to get sued, and what was it like to reveal all of this? Because it is like you're just uncovering these layers and layers and layers of stuff.
Yeah, I knew going into this that I had to protect myself. So legally, I've done that. That was also another thing that, making sure that, as I said, I take care of me. I have to make sure that I'm covered because that responsibility can't be on anyone else. And so I made sure that I was covered with that. The weird thing about it is my entire family knew this. They all knew. Uncles, cousins, my father, everyone knew. It was people outside of the family that knew I was getting in trouble, but they didn't know that she was at the root of it.
So the other family members knew that she was the one that started you down that path, but she still would not admit it.
Not admit it. In fact, my two sisters also were doing it.
Okay.
We all have criminal records because of her.
Wow.
I am the only one with the felonies.
I got you.
But they have misdemeanors, but we all have been in trouble because of what she taught us how to do. And it's just really weird. And I get, because a friend of mine told me a long time ago, the things that we go through, we don't go through for ourselves, it's for someone else. Because I used to question God all the time. Probably until about 2009.
We all do, yeah.
I was like, why me? What is this? And he said, why not you? He said, because God knew you would be strong enough to carry this burden and you will be able to help other people. I wish there were another route I could have taken to get the same information. But it was a situation, it was a reality check for me that, because even with having gone through all of that, I live an extraordinary life. I mean, God has been really, really good to me. I don't credit anyone else for that. I mean, I came home. So how this ended I got my second parole turned down on the second bid.
Okay.
And I was going to commit suicide. I wanted it over. I was in prison because when the parole turn down came, I had built myself up that I was going home. The church people at home was, oh, you're going to come home, blah, blah, blah,
so
blah. There was nothing. And the guy that I was friends with kept saying, Tweety, because that's my nickname, he said, do not get your hopes up. These white people ain't letting folk out of here. Don't do it. I said, no. I'm going home. I'm going home. When that parole turn down came, I went into a black hole. Literally.
I can imagine so.
And I just wanted to kill myself. So there was this older gentleman who had done a lot of time. I had only spoken to him. I had never had a conversation with him. And I was going to the restroom in the dorm one day, and he called me over. He said, young blood, come here. And I sat down on the bed across from him, and he said, why are you here? I said, I got caught or something like that. And he asked again. So I said kind of the same thing. And he asked again. So I was a hothead. So I get him to leave. And he was like, sit down. So I got scared.
Right.
So I sat down. He said, I'm going to ask you again. And I want you to think about it. Why are you here? And when I sat there, I was like, oh, just, my nerves.
Right.
But then it was like my mind just started racing back to that day in that Winn-Dixie grocery store when she put that pack of pork chops in my jacket and told me to follow her out the store. I had never blamed her or even imagined considering she was the root of
your mind wouldn't even go there. Wouldn't even see that.
And that was the day that everything changed. So when I came home 3 years later, I was with a renewed spirit. I wasn't going to do this. And she was angry because I wasn't hustling anymore. So then I got a job, first job. She wanted all my money. So we constantly argued.
Oh my goodness.
So I now have to thank God that did happen because I only lived in her house for 3 months before I was out. I had never been on my own before. Never.
Okay.
So for me to take that leap to go out into my own independence was huge. And so when I did that changed everything. I started working on my first degree because I knew the plant industrial work wasn't for me. Started working on my first degree. We got a job offer at Duke University, business school in Durham, North Carolina. Moved to North Carolina to accept that. Started working on my second degree at Shaw University and finished that in a year.
So I'm gonna tell you, like I asked Mr. Mark earlier, so that was, would you say that was kind of the turning point at that point that you were able to, you got through prison, you realized what the root cause was, you realized you didn't want to do certain things anymore. So it's kind of like, you know what, I got to try to build up my life and turn some things around here.
Oh yeah, that day when I sat on that bed and I realized that it was her, I knew then that a change had to happen because I couldn't come back because then I going back to prison, I could have been a 3-strike loser. I didn't want to, I knew the hustle was gone. I could not do this hustle anymore. I had to shake it and let it go. And when I came home, that was my drive. I came home hitting the ground running, trying to find a job, to do everything I could do because I did not want to do it. It was my first job. I was making $5.85 an hour working in a plant. And I did that. I had to humble myself to do that because I'm thinking like, I already know how I can go make money.
Right.
Although the game had changed quite a bit. When I came home, they were putting the sensors on meats and aspirins and stuff. So I know the clothes were going to be totally like that.
The clothes wasn't going to work.
Right. So, so I thought, okay. But I had that renewed determination. I've always been very smart. I didn't like going to school, but I went because, I knew I had to, and I did my best, where I always got good grades. And so I knew going to college would be easy. So I was able to graduate with the first degree on the president's list. I graduated summa cum laude from Shaw University.
So let me ask you this, because there are people that's probably listening. So, because people think that once you get a felony, the end of the world is just, it's done. So, what would you say to those type of people? How were you able to overcome that? Because some people think, okay, I got this felony, I served prison, I ain't gonna never get a good job, I'm not gonna, and they don't even, they limit their own self.
Right.
You went to college. So some people need to hear this. I need to hear this because some people be thinking their life is over with after they have gone to prison. But you went and got 2 degrees.
I think it's basically we determine what our self-worth is.
Okay.
And I get it. As I've gone back and I volunteered in Department of Corrections in North Carolina for years, I've spoken to different groups of convicted felons and programs in Virginia. It's what you determine. We know that you're going to come home with court costs and fines. That's almost mandatory. Unless you got a rich family who has paid it off. And half the time, you really don't. None of us do anyway.
Exactly, no.
So some may come home to child support orders. It's you humbling yourself and understanding that it may not be the income that you want, but it's the income that's going to help you get to where you are. And you go in there and you work it hard. I ran the Wendy's drive-through window for $6.35 an hour, but I ran that like I was making $635,000 a year.
That's right.
And that was noticed, although my felony kept me from being in a management position.
Right.
But my work ethic is what took me to higher grounds and higher heights.
Gotcha,
And even when
okay.
I got to the offer at Duke University's conference center at the business school, it was a front desk position for the conference center.
Okay.
And the young lady, we're great friends today, Unica Caraway, when she interviewed me, she said, you know what, I like you. And I had only had one hotel job, and that was a night auditor in Virginia. I was still at that.
Okay.
And she said, I like you. I'm going to offer you this position. So she got up to leave, and I sat there. She said, is there something else? And I said, you're going to ask me? She said, ask you what? I said, about the felony. Because I always check yes, and would like to discuss it at the interview.
Right.
And she said, you know what, I'm going to be totally honest with you. Your application went through HR, the Director of Guest Services, Director of Operations, and myself, and none of us saw that you checked yes, that you had a felony. None of us saw it. She said, I'm going to be totally honest with you. And so I just went and I gave her the real deal, the truth.
Right.
And she said, because you were so honest with me, I'm definitely going to fight for you. And I didn't learn this until after she left the company, that she did have to fight. She went through hell and high water to get me that job. But it was the best decision made. I was only there 7 months, and I was promoted to the executive assistant to the general manager and the executive committee.
Wow.
I was the only internal candidate, and the general manager and I are still friends today.
That is awesome.
And she said to me, we had all had this, she just said, people told me none of the executive committee wanted her to hire me. None of them. Because they knew about the felony and they felt like I shouldn't be in this. But she went against, she said, you know what? I want Victor. That was my first real corporate position. I had worked for a nonprofit, but not corporate.
Okay.
And she tells me today, you being my assistant was the best move I could have made. And so I apply myself. And so I say that to anyone, regardless of what you're doing, go in and give it 150% and apply yourself. Yeah, you're going to make some errors and there are going to be some mistakes, but you don't let that beat you down. You also don't let the society tell you that because you have this felony, that you can't be anything else. And one of the main reasons I wanted to write this book was I wanted to show white people because they feel like if you get in trouble, lock you up and throw away the key, but when you come home, you got to get a job, they hold the keys to those job and they don't want to let you have it. I wanted to let them know there are successful people that you didn't give a thing to help them get to where they are, because we don't hear about these stories.
No, you don't.
When someone gets in trouble, girl, don't you know such and such locked up again, but you don't hear about, girl, do you know how good such and such over there doing? We don't hear about that.
You don't hear those.
And so I felt like telling this was a huge way of letting people know that the state didn't give me anything. I came home to $1,000 checking account and a lot of hopes, and I just made it work for me.
And I agree with you 100% because you see it all the time, and I'm just glad that you were able to. To overcome it, because that's really a testimony right there. I'm like, you passed, your application went through all these steps, and no one, saw that you checked yes to I having a felony. I'm like,
and I knew then that was God.
Oh yes.
I just purchased my third home last year. I have just done remarkable things, and I've just taken advantage of the opportunities that were given to me. And so I would say to anyone, as I've said in the past, don't walk into it with the expectation that you're going to have that $100,000 a year job, because it's unrealistic.
Right.
Go in and accept the pay that you have. Make it work for you. But then if you have to work 2 jobs, do that. But, you're never down and out. That's what society and the system want you to think, because you have this convicted felon. I've got my rights back. And I'll tell you, it is so discouraging. I got my rights back in 2004. Okay. So I can do everything but hold a firearm. Okay. But I'm still limited. Even though I got my rights back, I can't be a notary public. I can't sit on a jury, although the jury is part of the right. You can sit on the jury, but that felony comes up. So what was the purpose of that? So really, the only right I really have is able to vote. Really? That's the only one. So I tell people, use every opportunity that you have. Get your rights back. In Virginia, you can't expunge your record. If you
Virginia got some tough laws. Huh?
If you plead guilty or if you were found guilty without litigating circumstances, you cannot expunge your record. And so I'm stuck with this, and it's been 26 years, and it still holds me back from certain things. Wow! But I don't let that hinder.
Don't let that hinder you. Just keep pressing forward.
Now I will say, in the beginning, it is a little tough because I did. it bothered me in the beginning because I was getting those turn downs for the jobs. Well, you can't hire you because of this, and I knew it was a development thing. But the moment I got that first opportunity, I mean, I've been an assistant manager of a convenience store, night auditor of a hotel, executive assistant, you know, so I've had really great job opportunities. I just made sure that I go in and apply myself.
And when you had those opportunities, you maximize those opportunities.
Exactly. And I'm always giving back to try to help other people with theirs. I've helped maybe 7 guys in Virginia get their rights back by writing letters for them.
That's awesome.
Because so many people don't know you can do that.
That you can do that. Exactly. Once again, we are talking to author Victor Carrington. He's the author of Just When You Thought You Knew Me, The Highs and Lows in Life of Victor L. Carrington. Victor, we're going to let you share some of what you want to share from your book. I'm sure some of us are interested in hearing that. Remember, you can call Victor at 214-556-6239. You can listen to us online at www.fbrn.us and click on the gray bowl. And you know, it's very true what you're saying, because a lot of times people do not realize that, you know, when you do get that opportunity, maximize it. You know, we're so busy and we don't, and like you said, even you got that job, wasn't paying for 6-something hours. You worked like you was, you know, making, you know, 10 times.
And you have to live within your means. You have to understand, because for a long time, I was buying stuff out of Dollar General, because you have to live within your means. You have to do that. You know, of course, I couldn't afford Macy's back then. I would have been in debt, and that wasn't the goal.
Right. I still shop at Dollar General. For my cleaning supplies.
I get it. I get it. I know, but I was buying my cosmetics out of there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because it was $1 tube.
You're right. Yeah.
You know, not knowing that it wasn't approved by the American Dental Association at the time. But no, seriously. And I tried not to accumulate any debt. You know, I had a car payment that was $235 a month, and it was actually $100 and some a month.
Okay.
But I didn't want to. It was like, you just have to do that. You have to humble yourself. Now I get it. If you got child support and you got the social services knocking at your door saying you owe this, you may have to work 3 jobs, but you do what you got to do.
Do what you got to do.
Unless you okay going back to prison, letting them tell you when you can rest, go to the restroom, shower, go outside, when you can eat, which that's not a life for me. I can't do that anymore.
Exactly. But we're ready when you are.
Okay. On this particular day, I was interrupted by my daydream by the whistling, signaling dinner. Brian instructed me to get dressed so we could go to the dining hall. I refused, telling him I wasn't hungry. He looked at me and said, "If you don't go put your MFing clothes on, I will push your face through this effing glass." He was so angry and did not respond well to rejection. At that moment, I was able to see the glass coming at my face. So not wanting to endure his wrath, I conceded and went to dinner with him. Skipping downward, later that evening, church call was announced. I took the opportunity to go to the watch commander's office, because I was trying to tell this was a relationship that had went totally south.
Okay.
And he was a kingpin, and he had drugs in there. We had people ODing on heroin.
It
was
serious?
ridiculous. So it was almost count time when I returned to the dorm. As everyone was settling in for the night, Brian tried to sweet talk me with apologies, but I was uninterested in anything he had to say. I wanted him out of my life. While I had been away from the dorm, he had gone into my locker and taken everything again. He wanted to exhibit his power over me, as usual. When I told him that I did not want anything to do with him, he told me that he'd see my body in a pine box before he saw himself without me. Just for good measure, Brian then punched me in the mouth, busted my bottom lip. At that very moment, I remember thinking that would be the night Brian would kill me.
Wow. Man. And when you bring that up, because like I said, I work in corrections too. Were you moved for your safety?
No. So interestingly enough, I did not realize it at the time, but the captain, he had the captain in his back pocket. And I realized now that he probably was using, that the captain was probably using. And anything he wanted, the captain let him have it. Anything. There was nothing outside of going outside that gate the captain didn't do for him.
Isn't that something?
And it was really odd. I was 21 at the time. I didn't realize it, you know. Yeah. It was like, wow. And I realized that once he moved him into my dorm, I mean, just easily, I knew, okay, this is not going to be bad, because he was a very jealous person. And I didn't realize that when we were in the city jail, and he just became worse when he got there and started running his business. He got worse because
he felt so
right. And he had,
you remember untouchable. I guess if you got the captain.
Remember LL in Too Deep?
Yes,
he was 10 times worse than that.
Jeez.
I mean, I've seen him beat up people. Because he ran into runners that he had on the street.
Well,
so he was using them in there and it was really, really weird where it was like, "Ooh, are you serious?" So, and I'm 21, never imagined being in an abusive relationship.
How long were you able to endure that?
He came into the system after me, so he got there in November of 1994, and 1993, and it was until going into the summer of 1994.
Wow.
It was very bad.
That's horrible.
It was horrible.
Oh my goodness. And no one was helping.
Well, in prison, as you know, I'm working in there, you don't interfere in a relationship.
Yeah,
you don't interfere in a relationship. The relationship is already illegal, but you're definitely not
going
to
interfere with it.
Not if you value your life. You're not going to interfere with a relationship.
You're certainly not going to interfere. Not at all.
And even the one day that, because he was part of his control, he would take everything he's ever given me down to gifts, down to my soap dish and toothbrush holder. He would take it. And I would have to come to him because he had already asked me to stop getting money from home. Not acknowledging, I'm thinking, I got somebody that's taking care of me, I'm good. Not acknowledging this was part of his control. So there was this old timer that said, "Look, young blood, come on over here and get some out of my locker, whatever you need." Because the night had gone past before he moved to my dorm. I had knocked on the door and asked him for the stuff back. The next morning he saw me taking a shower, he lost it. "Where'd you get this?" I mean, he literally lost, because I guess he felt some of his control was slipping away.
That's exactly what it was.
I got a job, he lost it more. That was a battle.
Because that was part of you establishing independence away from him. He didn't want that.
That was a battle.
He didn't want that. And that's what people don't understand. In domestic abuse relationships, whether it's same sex or heterosexual, those dynamics are still there.
Even with my editor, when she was reading the stuff, she was shocked. I didn't want to put any sexuality stuff in this book at all. But she said if I didn't, and people knowing that I was gay, knowing that I didn't have a perfect life, that they're going to think everything else was fake. She said you're going to have to give up if you're telling the tell-all, you got to give all of
Well, that makes sense.
She said because you're going to have white, black, gay, straight, male, and female readers. You're going to have to give everybody something.
I guess that makes sense.
And it made sense after I struggled for 3 days.
Well, because like anytime you write the book, I mean, I write fiction. I still felt like I was undressing myself. I did. I felt like, Lord, people gonna be like, where in the world? Like, ooh, she wrote this? What kind of mind? I can tell me that, girl, I knew your mind was like that. I'm like, okay, I did not do those things. Those my characters that did those things. And since I can imagine with someone that's writing memoirs about something that they ever went through, how they
and that was probably one of the most deepest concerns I had is how people, because I never gave up any. People knew I was gay, but people didn't know my inner actions. And so for me to have to go into some detail, because she kept saying, I need meat off the bones. I would give her a little bit when she was like, no, I need more meat off the bones.
And who was this telling you this?
My editor.
The editor.
She said, I need more meat off the bones because you got to make it relatable. You got to make it believable. And when I finally I got frustrated, just went in. And she said, this is what I'm talking about. Okay. I didn't want to share those things because I thought, some things just probably don't need to be shared, but now that I've done it, I realize that it is what it is. I'm part of a gay organization. It's a group, and we have chapters all across the United States, and our local chapter here, we get together and feed the homeless. We try to do it once a month.
Okay.
And we were out there feeding the homeless on Saturday, and there was this church out there also feeding the homeless, and I went over, we try to go around and meet everybody, and I went over and was introducing them, and the book came up, and they said, well, what is your book about? And the first thing I went into the I was okay, you are really a church person. I don't think you want to read this book, because this book is not for the faint at heart. It's not for the prude, because we go through real things in our lives, and I'm giving you what I've gone through.
Right.
And so she said, well, it doesn't matter. It's your life. It's your story. We all have stories. I was just bold enough to put mine out.
Right.
As with Jennifer Lewis just said, she just said the most powerful thing that I think, and I love her.
I do
most
too.
Powerful thing. She said she was on The View, and Sonny said, well, your book is kind of risque.
Yeah.
She said, listen, Ain't no shame in my game.
Yeah.
Not that I walk around broadcasting what I do, but when I put it out there, and I tell people all the time, Shirley, that I own my stuff.
That's right.
If I do it, I say it, I own it.
That's right.
I'm not one that's going to say, no, you misunderstood what I said, or no. I own it. Sometimes that gets me into a lot of trouble because of that, but it is what it is. I own it.
And I mean, I think that the fact that you are able to be transparent and write and be comfortable writing. I mean, it's like I tell everybody that comes to write a memoir, it's your story and it's going to help somebody.
And it has. I did a 6-state, multiple city book tour.
Okay.
And everyone that's read this book has said, listen, you've helped me. I mean, it was straight men coming to me because I also did media. I was on CBS, NBC, iHeartRadio. And so they would come to me when I was at my signings that night and said, your book has just helped me so much. And I would think, my book? Like, what about it? You know, because I mean, some people may look at it and think, oh, this a little something. But and they say, your book really has helped me because we've all done stuff. There was a straight man who told me that he had struggled issue with his mom because he used to be a drug dealer. His mom was using him basically the way my mom used me. And he did not think it would ever be okay to terminate that relationship. But to see me do it, he was like, I know I can do that and we'll be okay.
Yes. And that's exactly what it's about.
Right.
Now I'm looking at some of the titles of your chapters here.
Those titles were to describe where I was in my life.
So I'm just going through some of them, maybe just lost and unfound.
I was lost and I was unfound.
And that makes a lot of sense. I'm going to growing up. Okay, that's kind of self-explanatory. Okay, but what I thought was interesting, I wanted to share. Oh shoot! Now you can't find stuff you want to look for it. I've been flipping through it. I think you had
and I tried to keep it very short. You know, the chapter short. There was one. Is there a doctor in the house?
Okay. That's the one? Is there a doctor in the house?
Well, where that came about was because of the abuse in the relationship with the character Brian. I developed a system. I mean, a condition where I break out in webs and hives all over. I mean, they would just attack me anywhere because of the stress.
Yeah, stress and anxiety. Yeah.
And I was going to the nurse call, and I was on Benadryl for weeks. And finally, I went back to get a refill, and she said, "I don't know what you're dealing with, but you need to see someone. If you don't, you're going to have a nervous breakdown." She said, "I want you to see a doctor." Now I'm thinking she's going to send me to a medical doctor. She sent me to a psychologist, and I sat there with him. And when I finally began to open up, probably after our second session. I was like a release just came over me where I was able to talk about everything, you know, the whole guilt of being gay, not wanting to know, my family hated it, being in prison, of course the abusive relationship. I had no one that I could actually pour that into to get a unbiased position.
Right.
And he provided that. And he was the beginning of several therapists. But they all kind of laughed at me about the gay thing because I was asking them to give me something to take it away. Because I knew my parents hated it,
right.
Family hated it, and I got tired of being called a faggot or a punk.
Right, of course.
You know, growing up, I was always called that.
Of course, and that's hard to listen, hard to hear. I see the forbidden fruit.
Yeah, that is the one time that I did something I shouldn't have done.
Okay, letting go. I'm not giving away the I'm letting people know that. Listen here, enough is enough.
Yeah.
Okay, the blast from the past. I like the title. So
I wanted the book to be totally Victor.
This is nice. Laying the groundwork, stone by stone.
That is when I began to rebuild and to basically was starting new because I had never worked a job. You know, never been independent. So that was.
And you're talking about revisiting the past, and that would be a part of that process. Yeah. Moving forward, taking a leap of faith. This is excellent. Lessons learned.
Yeah, there were quite a bit of lessons learned in my life.
Moving on up.
And still learning.
And regrouping. This is excellent, Victor, because to me, it reminds me as a counselor of what the type of things you're telling people, you know, to do in there and what they have to do to the process of healing. So I like the way you outlined this because you're taking people through that process for you. Now, was there any abusive relationships outside of what happened in the prison?
To me? No.
Okay.
No.
I just want to know
that one time will never happen again.
Some people have.
Jail. That will never happen. You can darn near look at me the wrong way and I'm out.
I just want to know some people they have it out, you know, wherever they are, they have that they draw. So I just want to make sure.
No. You can damn near look at me the wrong way or tell me to shut up and I'm okay, deuces. I'm gone.
I know that's right.
Yeah, we're not doing that again.
Well, this has been exciting. We got to go in a few minutes. So before I go any further, because the time is, where did the time go? Okay. I truly have enjoyed interviewing you. Please tell people how they can contact you and how they can get a copy of your book.
Okay, the book is on Amazon.com. You can either search by my name, Victor Carrington, or you can put in the title Just When You Thought You Knew Me. The paperback is $13.99. The digital version is $2.99. And you can contact me on Facebook at Victor L. Carrington. That is a public page. Also, my Twitter account, my Instagram for the book is also Victor L. Carrington.
Awesome. Do you have any upcoming events or book signings you want to tell people
Well,
about?
I'm still doing different things. I just did the Literary Symposium in Houston, which is this huge book thing that travel from state to state. So that was really exciting. So right now we're on the downtime for the holidays. Okay. So we'll rev it back up in January because I did not know that it was still going to be doing as well as it's doing 2 years later, but it's still doing well. So I'm thankful to God
It's a relevant story. It's a relevant story.
Yeah.
And people need to hear it.
Yeah.
So when you have the market and the people that's out there that need to hear it, that's where
I'm just using my platform to do everything I can to bring awareness to this type of thing and to keep it going.
Well, I think it's outstanding what you are doing. And just remember that we have been talking to Victor Carrington. And Just When You Thought You Knew Me, the highs and lows in the life of Victor Carrington. Please check him out on Facebook and Instagram, all those social media pages, and Amazon. We're very excited you were able to come and join us.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
Glad you're to be a part of us. Just want to remind you, please check us out at Authors Lounge Radio at gmail.com and Facebook, the Authors Lounge Radio. We're going to have to leave because the time is ticking. Please tune in next week. Same back channel, same back time. Thank you and have a wonderful day. See how quick those commercials popped up?
Thank you so much, Cheryl. This was so exciting.
I'm glad you were able to come. I'm glad we were able to get it done. It just took off so quickly that we had to.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I had totally forgot.
It happens. It's been happening to all of us. I'm serious. I think because we